if you've never done this stuff before, it could all be a little foreign. So if it doesn't totally make sense, that's okay. It's not like it's not something that you should learn if you've been in a computer science class, because most of computer science is dealing with like system network stuff, which is more low level. You're not like accessing across a web browser in the current session. The concepts are a little, the concepts are fairly different from like if you're writing this in Perl or PHP or Java, because of the way it behaves. It's all in the client. But since it's all web-based requests, you don't have to deal with stuff like XML authentication protocols or anything. You're literally just loading. It's as if you had a website that looked like this, and you're taking the concepts of this website and reading it back. That's really all. The console is for playing with code, right? So you can see your recent queries here. So this will show you all the queries that I've recently made. And even if I sign out and sign back in, this will still be here. But the concept of saving it, like I could. Yes. So the queries are still here on recent queries. You can also look at example queries and tables that you've written specifically on your own. So, yeah. I think you said that it's all in the URL. Yeah, okay. See, look, I speak Arabic. Just kidding. Yeah, so really it is all in the URL. So this is just a playground to help you build a better query. Once you've got the query that you want, it's all in the URL and you can use it just by loading that page. So if back to where we were, if I change this callback load tweets, and you remember we got the error message, like uncut reference load tweets is not defined, I just have to change this function to load tweets, and that's going to now recognize it and do the stuff we want to do. So if I have console.log results, I want to loop through each one. So just a JavaScript loop, console.log, results, x dot. If we look at our output here, recent queries, select footer search. All right, here's my object, created at, from user, to user, etc. So I'm going to say, give me the text. So console.log results.text. What this should do is it should go through and print out each tweet into the console of the page. Yeah, so there it is. There's tweet number 1, 75 minutes of unadulterated Steve Jobs, computer was released, blah, 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 with the link and everything. And then the other one. So I can take this, and now I can inject this into the page, and it will build me a list of the tweets that are from that data source. So if I go to YY examples, I try and find the thing that I want to do. So let's look at events, creating building a node. But I can just say, you know what, I want to, so this would, I'll make a function called add tweet to list data. Object. And so this will be my template. I'll just say each one will be a list. It will have a paragraph with the tweet content. I'm just going to build a little template. And then I'll say, we'll go up here, we'll add a list. Okay, so my list ID is tweets. And we'll keep it empty for now. So then I'm going to take this template, and for the tweet object, I'm going to say HTML.place img, which is my little the key that I wrote right here. Simple string replacement. Replace this key img with tweet object. If I go and look at my object here again, the profile image URL is the image to their picture. So I can just say tweet object.profile image URL. Right? That'll replace the img in HTML with a new version of the HTML string with the image put in. And then I'll just do the same thing for tweet. Right now I'll use tweet object.text. So that's all very basic JavaScript, very basic everything. I don't actually need any YUI or anything for that, but I am going to use YUI to inject stuff into the content. So I'll say tweet list equals y.1, which says, like, basically saying grab this object on the page, this HTML object, tweets, and then I can say tweet list of HTML. And if I wrote this right, it will loop through each one. So say add tweet to list results X. I'm going to run this. I might have broken something, but if I did break it, we can learn how to debug. Nope, I did it. So this now has a list of the tweets with the profile picture of the person who tweeted it and the text they wrote on a page, all using JavaScript. And if I really, this stuff is kind of superfluous, kind of confusing, but if the basics that you need, you have a script tag, the load style, the minimums, I give it a nice little right, so you've got your code, your layout, your content, some tweets. And now I can go and remove the limit. Right, I'm going to stick with spacing. Okay, so here's some tweets. There's my tweets. If I go back to select star from Twitter, and remember we had the limit 2, which only gave us 2. If I remove that, this is going to give us, this will give us everything we need, all the tweets at once. I just copy this URL with our load tweets function. I copy this URL. Paste it down here. And here is all, like a whole list of tweets we've just built a very ugly copy of what Twitter is. Right? You've got a list of tweets about a topic. The topic will be Apple. And tweets about Apple. And there we go, it loads it all in. We haven't really used a database, we haven't had to write any server-side code, we haven't had to do much else other than write maybe 10 lines of code to build a Twitter viewer. So some students have done things where they've taken like the Twitter API and they've built analyzers that pull the data and they only show tweets with certain words in them, or they only show tweets that have specific things that make sense for that. So they'll cross-reference the Twitter API with the Rotten Tomatoes API and show you which movies people are talking about, or any type of data mashup. So I'm assuming that everyone understood that completely, and you can now go and write your own Twitter clone, and there's no problem, and I don't need to talk anymore, right? You guys all got this? No questions? Is there any part of this that that you want to teach me about, that you think that you want to know more information about, that you think would be, like, should I make this prettier? Should I mumble? Okay. Before I move on to using some more of a complicated, like, the different libraries that we have to make this a little bit easier, are there any questions about why you would do it this way or what I've actually done? Okay, so inside YQL, this data tables piece down here. So whenever I want to build something, first thing, you look at what your goals are. Do you want to make it pretty? Do you want to make it powerful? Are you building like data crunching or like a fun visual website, like a bunch of art or something? You first have to think about what you need. So do you need a server? Do you need data? Do you need user input? What is it that you need? And if it's data, the first thing I always do is I come to YQL and I see if there's a table in here that might have the data that I want. So if I want, for example, weather data, I can type weather into the search box. And these are different, down on this side here, these are different services that are in YQL that offer weather information. So there's weather alerts, there's forecasts, or there's geo lookup. So you can say, like, give me weather. Let's see if weather in Amman works. It might not work. Yeah, forecast. Sunny. The icon is smiley. It'll give you the temperature, everything. So if you have an idea about something you want to build and you're curious about where you get the data, you can come in here and use some of the existing stuff just by searching. Just by searching here to try and find, like, you can search iTunes. This searches all the iTunes artists, the whole base for a certain track or a certain whatever. There's a ton of data in there. And this is an open system, so if you go to datatables.org, this will give you like how the YQL program works, how to write your own data tables, how to access all the data tables on GitHub. Anyone here use GitHub? I know what GitHub is. It's like a vast store of really interesting program. Subversion. Anyone version network control? Okay. SCRM system of any sort. Source control, relationship management. Okay. I don't Yahoo has everything they do externally on GitHub, which is a really easy place to go and browse through source code repositories and see. You can learn about different things that are being worked on. You can download people's code. You can see what activities on an open source project. It all happens here. And honestly, it's probably one of the coolest programming websites out there that I've seen in a long time. But I'm biased because I'm also a big fan of pretty websites. But everything that Yahoo does is on GitHub. If you go to GitHub, Yahoo account or the GitHub YDN account, you'll have everything that we build that helps you play with stuff. If you actually want to see the source code. If you just want to read the documentation stuff, developer.yahoo.com, and it's great for that. But everything, so all the open tables, I'm kind of jumping around here, I'm sorry. All the open tables are written by other people outside of Yahoo as well. So people at Facebook write tables to maintain their own data. People at Wikipedia write some tables. People all over the internet write tables, contribute them to the open table. Open table org, which gives everyone like you access to that information. So it's a really good resource for getting the data. You can also write your own data table. So if you have data that you want access to, like school data or anything internally, you can write your own data table and use that in your code. And the nice thing about MyQL, so MyQL seems fairly simple. You can just go and scrape a page and pull data back and give it to you. But we actually provide a whole series of servers that do data crunching. So if you write your own data table, all the data crunching will happen on our servers instead of your servers. So you can support more users, you can have more traffic without spending too much money on your servers. We take that cost on our own. We also provide caching automatically, storage automatically for it, and a whole bunch of things that are really useful if you want to write your own data tables. So it's a really great way to shortcut through a lot of the heavy lifting that you have to do. I talked a little bit earlier and had the list of links up there. If people are curious, there's bit.ly, HackU, links. So this URL right here, bit.ly/HackU-links. This will take you to a little repository of useful and interesting links that we've put up. So I'm going to show you a couple little hacks built by Christian Amman, who used to work at Yahoo and do these things. And there's some of the fun things he's done, and he shows you how to use them too. So translate English to pirate back. Right, so how are you? Translate. How be you? Simple things like that. So this is, all of these are documented. He's written about how he wrote them and what pieces are. So you can really click through and browse through these and learn about how to write your own little tools and symbols. Simple things using YQL and YUI, and he's written a lot of them. There's right, so there's a couple for you to look at and figure out. The other one, this is another great resource. These are all part of, like, everyone who's written this stuff has been working with YDN or worked inside Yahoo to kind of promote and work on these tools to make them awesome. These are things like World of Warcraft Duel in JavaScript and YQL, how to parse XML how to use HTML5 geo data. So this is going to take my browser's location. Awesome. Should test that. Okay. So Yahoo has, like I said, a ton of APIs. One of them is really good as Place Finder. So we actually have one of the largest databases of worldwide locations and places in the world. Everything from like random business listings to places of political or tourist information, places that you should go, places you should see. And again, we have a nice API for that makes it easy for you to write those. So in YQL, you can get geo.places where text is San Francisco. This will give you all the data about the city of San Francisco, where it is on a map, what its latitude, longitude, all that stuff, so you can build mapping tools and pull relevant information from coordinates. So we have some fun. So here's some, this is a fun one. This is some of the things he's done in YQL. So this grabs photos from a certain geographical location. In YQL, you can combine queries. So you can say select star from Flickr photo search, where WO ID, which is where location ID, is within this range of location IDs. So if I run this in YQL, select star from photos where WO ID is in Paris, France, this is going to give me photos. Are falling all over themselves. I'm sorry for that. Okay. I love live presentations. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to reset because everything that I just showed you sucked and none of it worked. That's really embarrassing, so I'm going to answer this question instead.
Can you make the URL updated autonomously without just the whole page?
The URL, sorry.
Can you make the URL updated autonomously without refresh the whole page? I mean, you don't refresh the whole page every time to know the new feeds on Twitter, for example.
Yeah, okay. So we update and refresh the page in real time using, yes, we can. So one of the nice things about doing that with YUI. We go to documentation. If we look at the HTML of the page, so node is the piece. So node is the piece. Each element on an HTML page is a node. Node lets you modify the YUI piece for Node lets you modify the contents or change attributes of any HTML element. So with the code that we had here, right, the tweet code, if I have a function refresh tweets, all I need to do is say var. Okay. Let's move this tweet list to the side. So tweet list HTML is blank. Right? So this will reset the contents of the tweets. And then I can say body.append, and I'm just going to append this again. So it'll basically rerun the query. So pretty simple. It's going to wipe the tweet list. So clear out everything. It's going to, or I could even just say refreshing. And then we'll wipe it down here. The tweet list data comes back. And if I reload this, right, so here's my that I wrote. Oh, sorry. Escaping your code is really important. I don't remember how I said I wasn't worried about the other position at all. Okay, so there's the tweet list, and then we're going to have this here. And we will append this code to it. Okay, so I got caught in a very stupid JavaScript problem. If you have the end script tag in your JavaScript, like you actually putting that word in there, it will stop processing JavaScript. So we had to break it up. I had to break it up with a plus sign so that it doesn't stop JavaScript. Amateur mistake on my part. So we've got this function here called refresh tweets, right? So if I go and open up console, I can then call refresh tweets, and it will, let's say, if I do this, open up console, and I can run refresh tweets, and it will actually go and refresh the tweets. Yeah. Script. The source is going to be this page. And then body. And script. Okay. So, sorry, I had to write that one properly. Okay, refresh tweets. It's going to grab the tweet list. It's going to set the inner HTML, which is what we see here. Set inner HTML to be blank, so it wipes all the tweets. And then I'm going to grab the body of the page, create a new script element, set the source of that to be the YQL query, and then append that script to the page, and that will refresh the page. So that handles the refresh, but it doesn't happen automatically. It only happens when I say refresh tweets. Right, so every time I refresh tweets, it checks like it refreshes. But all we're going to do now is just say set timeout, refresh tweets every 5 seconds. All right, so a JavaScript timeout will run every 5 seconds to refresh the tweets. So, I mean, this is kind of an ugly implementation done in 2 lines of code, but so set timeout will run once in 5 seconds, set interval will run every 5 seconds, and reload the page to make sure that new tweets are getting in there. So there it is, it reloads it, and again in 5 seconds it will reload it. Obviously the more elegant way to do it would be to check if there's anything different, and if so, at the top, which can be done as well in YQL and YUI. It just takes a little bit more thought. Obviously, I'm not thinking very quickly. I'm sorry for stumbling through that. There is a lot more value that I didn't have a chance to get into, but luckily, because I've stumbled through, there's time for questions. And also, over the next 48 hours, we're going to have a little mingle right now that everyone, we're going to have more presentations right now. And then at the end, we're going to have a mingle where everyone can talk and ask questions. And if there's anything that you're particularly excited or interested in, I can walk through and explore that with you, whether it's Grease Monkey to modify web pages, or whether it's something in YQL, something in YDN, YUI, anything like that. I can sit down with you one-on-one or one-on-four, whatever, and work through it and help you out to get it done. Thank you. And now we'll bring Anil back up to introduce the next speaker.
Thank you, Jeremy. Just before we carry on, I just want to quickly again go over some of the stuff that's going to happen. So, if you have registered already on the Eventbrite site, that's great. I'll send you a confirmation email in about an hour or so. If you haven't, you still have some time to register. I will also check again this evening just to see if there's any other people that are registered in the meantime. We do have a limited amount of space. So if you don't get a confirmation if you registered late, that's because we didn't have enough space for you guys. Also, just to add on stuff that Jeremy's talking about, I've done this event a number of times before. I'm just going to give you some of my advice. The first thing is always scratch your own itch. Always look for something that's personal to you or something that you believe in to resolve or work around or hack around. If you don't believe in what you're doing, when you do your demos and when you're actually doing your pitch to the judges, it's going to come across that you don't actually believe in what you're doing. So make sure it's something that you're passionate about or something that you're really interested in. The great thing about the hacking is also the fact that it is shortcuts. It's delivering something without having to do all the protocols and all the paperwork. So take advantage of that. Try to use as many tools and as many shortcuts as you possibly can without breaking any laws, obviously. Also, another good thing is try to use technologies that you wouldn't otherwise normally use. It's a great way of trying to learn technologies in a very intense and very short period of time. And also get out of your comfort zone. You know, don't just do stuff that you are comfortable with. Try to do something that you wouldn't normally do. Think outside of the box. Get outside of your own shells. Okay. We've got to talk about Book 2 coming up now. So yes? Okay, great. Thank you guys.
Hello. Let's show this connection. Video. We are running this presentation in English, unless somebody has objection from this. My name is Adil Shahade. I'm from the product organization. I work as a product manager for Yahoo. Today I'm gonna show you some of the stuff that we're working on at Yahoo, some of the products that we have. Before that, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to give you a brief overview about the region, about the MENA region.
so you can get the sense of what we're doing and why we're doing that. So this is the MENA region that we're targeting. MENA stands for Middle East and North Africa. As you see, it's highlighted in the map. So I think the best introduction about the MENA region is the video that we prepared. I'd like to share with you. So here we go. For a reason, the video is not working. Okay, I'm gonna skip the video. All right, try that. All right. Let's go back to the presentation. So, having shown that, we're looking at the region with around 300 million people, very young generation, very young demographic, 70% below 30. 80% of those people are speaking Arabic. The remaining 20% are split between English and French. So I think you're familiar with the famous internet content gap, the 1% content gap. So if we look at the world population, the Arab people are basically 5% of the world population. And if you look at Arabic content on the web, last year it was 1%. The last updated numbers says that it's 1.5%. So we have some improvement, but we still have this 3.5% gap that we need to fill. This is where we step in as Yahoo too. So based on that, we will look at the opportunities that we have. So now we have 80 million online users in the Arab world. That's around 25% of the Arab world population. So as you see, there's a lot of gap to fill. If you compare to other countries, like the USA, for example, or European countries, or even United Arab Emirates, numbers can reach up to 70–80%. So there's a lot of gap to be exploited. So the gender distribution, now it's 65 male to 35% females. This is very interesting because 5 years ago, if you look at the gender distribution, you'll find that it was 10% female and 90% male. So there's a lot of growth in female usage, internet female usage. This is where we step in also, and you'll see that in forms of product that I'm going to show you. So there's 30% of the Arab world using social networks. Still, there's a lot of gap to fill. The broadband connectivity is really exploding. So also mobile penetration is in some countries it's up to 200%, which means on average users have even 2 phones at the same time. An average user has 2 phones. Also, the recent Arab Spring, the manifestation of that, we can see that in people expressing their opinion more and more, and consequently using the internet so the internet is actually a tool to express yourself. So as people are opening up and becoming more liberal, so more usage is expected, internet usage. There's also the soaring of e-commerce sites, like for example, Gonabet, Kobon. Gonabet has been just acquired by Security Social. So there's a lot of people are no longer afraid of using their credit card on the internet. Of course, there's a lot of demand on online content consumption. So that's the opportunity. If we look at Yahoo as overall, we have around 700 million users worldwide. In the Arab world, we have, let's say, MENA region, we have 52 users. So this is interesting because the MENA region population is close to the population of the